Hello. Is it working?
It says we're live. There's 5 people. We're 3 of them.
I'm
Shout
trying.
out if you're
Okay, yeah, it's working. Okay.
if you're here. Shout out.
Welcome. Let me pull up the comments so that you can see. Can you guys hear us okay?
Somebody already left.
Dang, they saw me and went. I don't listen to this guy.
Good
Hello,
evening.
Maurice.
Hello.
How
I'm
are
going to
you?
post that we're live on Instagram now.
I have a
Okay.
feeling if it was just Rachel, she would get a lot more people.
Hey, Chuck. Hey, we don't do this very often. We've probably done this 4 or 5 times in the last few years. Hello.
The
Hello,
cat
hello.
is making a lot of sounds right now.
Yeah. Well, my cat likes when I come in this room, which isn't often. So when I do, my cat thinks that I owe her things. And she starts doing things, asking for things from me. And she's very antisocial. So I'm usually respondent, but I can't do it right now. So it's me, Rachel, and Danny. If we had sound effects, I'd have a big crowd cheering right now.
Oh, wait, I have some.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to do that again. Thank you. Thank you very much. No, please sit down. Feel like Jimmy Kimmel. You can't get people to sit down anymore. Okay, so we're going to talk about a few topics, and we're going to open this up at some point to just random questions you guys have. I have one more thing I wanted to bring up. I'm going to start with it. So one of the things I want to talk about real quick is having a comic community. I talk to a lot of collectors. I talk to a lot of people selling their collections. And along the way, people message me and ask me questions. And one of the things that how valuable it is when you have it is having a community of people you can talk to regularly about comic issues. To me, it's important for me that I can learn from people. So I always try to surround myself with people that know much more or have different information than I have. So in that conversation, I'm learning, and it's a hobby, right? But so is collecting antiques or any other vintage item, ancient item, whatever it is. There's so much to learn, and it's like as you go through the path and you pick things up, it's usually from other people. I think that the internet, things like YouTube, have really helped people get information that maybe wasn't as easily accessible as we were growing up. There were some publications that we read, and we go to a comic book store and have chats, and that's kind of how we did things. But in this day and age, there's a lot of collectors that don't go to comic stores, and there's a lot of collectors that might pick it up and they do 100% electronic. And so it's hard to find your homie or homies or people that you talk to that you can have debates with, that they can tell you you're wrong for thinking this is the best cover because I'm going to show you. That's really helpful conversations to have as a collector. And it matures us, I think, to a level that we become more sophisticated in what we're doing. Not sophisticated in a way that is elitist, but it's sophisticated in the way that I can talk about lots of different aspects of collecting with some confidence because I've had these conversations before. And speaking of having those conversations, this guy right here on the other side of the screen, I've had more conversations about collecting comics than anything else. I mean, anything we've ever talked about, we've talked more about comic books. Not that that's the only thing we talk about, but I'm going to tell you, we've spent thousands of hours talking about comic books. And we don't get bored. We just keep these conversations going. I'll bring up things I'm discovering, and Danny's like, oh, yeah, you know this and that. Or I'm talking about things he's not familiar with, and he's interested. But to a degree, I mean, at some point, as a collector, Danny's a collector, and I'm a comic reseller. Danny's more interested in things that he might want to get than things that he's not interested in at all. Like, if I started talking about modern books, I can just see his eyes glass over. He's like, I'm out. I'm not interested.
So I have an interest in a lot of, I know a lot of stuff about comics I don't collect. I mean,
you do.
And it's because of like in the early 70s when I first started collecting, the source of information that I learned from the most was the Overstreet Price Guide. Like my very first issue of the Overstreet Price Guide was number 3 in 1973. And then from that point on, I bought one every year. And I don't have my original 1973 one anymore, but if I did, it was in tatters. Like I read that thing from cover to cover. And so like you're looking at information. It's not me, the things I was collecting back in 1973 when I was 11 years old was only a fraction of what was in there, but I was just super interested in learning about books and the golden age and the silver age and such. So like over years in the early 70s, there wasn't a lot of like places to go to get comic information. I eventually started subscribing to the comic.
Before you move on to that, and you weren't looking just at prices, you were looking at all the information.
I was interested in comic books, like learning as much as I can about them,
First appearances. And the price guide, Overstreet Price Guide, would have a lot of information if something was a key or first appearance. It had the artists. It has a lot of information that really isn't as available today online, because it
had pictures of issues in there, and it's probably hard to imagine, if you haven't been collecting long, a time when you didn't know what a specific issue looked like. But like back in those days, we'd flip open the new Overstreet and you'd go to your favorite title and be like, oh, there's Action Comics number 21, or there's like, you had no other place to see what that book looked like. And it's one of the reasons like I really liked some of the reprint books that DC was putting out then, because they would post the original covers on the back cover or on the interior of, and I remember like Superboy 100 had a picture of I think it was Superman 1, Jimmy Olsen 1, Superboy 1, and Lois Lane number 1. They were like famous first issues. And I was like, I think that might have even been the first time I saw what a Jimmy Olsen 1 or a Superboy 1 looked like. And it was fascinating. Like the next thing after that was buying the Comic Buyer's Guide, which was a weekly publication. And I started subscribing to that in the 70s and stayed with it.
A lot of people listening right now might have never seen it. What kind of information were you getting out of that?
Oh, the Comic Buyer's Guide they had articles and stuff. Like there was really good articles, but it was also a lot of ads for selling old comics.
And, so you started buying books from the ads in there.
Oh yeah. Like I remember Chuck Rosansky was running ads in the Comic Buyer's Guide for.
So who's Chuck Rosansky? Just so people don't know.
He's the owner and he's the founder of Mile High Comics, and he also founded or bought the collection known as the Edgar Church / Mile High Collection, which is like over 20,000 Golden Age comics that were in pristine condition. And he was running ads in the Comic Buyer's Guide for, I remember very specifically, like Green Lantern number 1, near mint, $300. And we're not talking about the one from 1960. We're talking about the one from like 1941. And I remember seeing some of that stuff in there. Well, $300 was way out of my price range, but like you could have bought Mile High Edgar Church comics right out of the Comic Buyer's Guide. So like we had to use periodicals.
Anyone who bought Mile High books out of the Comic Guide, please shout out.
I did want to say there were some things that people have said so far about what we talked about. There was a question. I'll come back to the question, Eggplant Comics. But Mike Dennis said, Danny, thank you for turning me on to Comic Cavalcade.
Oh,
he's very proud of that. He just found that out right this minute.
I'm actually still working on that set, so I haven't been able to find a new issue for that in a while. But yeah, it's a great run.
And then Michael said, I agree with Danny. I felt and read the hell out of Wizard 1.
Yeah,
Wizard. Now Wizard's later, right?
Wizard's later. I want to say either late 80s or early 90s.
Yeah,
and I didn't buy that. Routinely, I would every now and then I saw a cover I liked and I'd buy it, but it had articles, and so you could learn a lot. This is all pre-internet stuff, but when you talk about community, the number one place where I learned more about comic books than anywhere else was the CGC message boards,
which still exists, and you're still a member.
Still exists, and I signed up on those boards within about a year of them coming. I think 2002 was the first year, and I signed up in 2003, and I've been an active member ever since. And I learned, like, I thought I knew a lot about comic books until I started on those message boards. And I can't even tell you how much I learned and how many people I've met that have become friends and like people I run into in conventions now because we met on the CGC message boards.
Yeah, friends in real life, like been to their houses, know them personally. Yeah.
Please, really, you've had Mick Rabin on here before. I met Mick Rabin through an ad in the Comic Buyer's Guide, and
he was the guy we did the War Book interviews with.
Buying or selling? Were you buying or selling?
He was looking for stuff, and I had something that he wanted, and he had some stuff that I wanted. We were working out a trade, and we just became friends after that. And then we found each other on the message boards years later, and then we met in life, and we've been actively friends for a long time. But like then the next iteration that's beyond the message boards is like now it's Facebook and Instagram, right? Like I can't even tell you how many
groups and YouTube.
Yeah, well, yes, and YouTube. But I'm just from like the static perspective instead of looking at videos.
Yeah,
like looking at posts of people posting comic books. I'm a member of dozens of Facebook groups on comic books, and I even moderate one group myself. And so like there's so many places to get information about comic books, but like the best part is what you said, David, and that's your friends that you can pick up the phone or visit and talk to about comic books. Me and Ken talk comics all the time. Me and you talk comics all the time. So I mean, it's kind of it would be kind of lonely to like do this hobby and not have people to talk to about it.
I think it's good. That's why that there's so many communities out there, because not a lot of people have like people that know a lot about comics in their lives. So they come to people like us that, well, not me, but to people like you guys that know a lot about comic books.
Did you know? So I have a couple of friends that we just every now and then exchange text messages on our phones of a new comic we just bought. Like I have several friends, like I'll get something that I know they might think, wow. I've got some friends that will do the same thing. And like, there's really, it's not so much even a jealousy thing. It's like, we're happy to when you get a really great book that you've been looking for a long time, one you're really excited about, you want to share it with somebody. Like how many times do I text you like the latest win on Heritage or something?
To that point, I've learned like with music, I don't have a music person. I have a couple of people that I do send things occasionally because if I don't, I'll explode. But I consume music every day of my life. New music, old music. I watch videos all the time. I'm always listening. I spend time in my life, in the sunset of my life, listening to new music all the time. And sometimes I'll hear things. I'm like, that's just brilliant. I'm so happy to have heard that. And I can tell you my wife doesn't care. She loves me and she'll sit there, but I can see like it's painful, you know. Rachel doesn't care. So I just don't share things with her.
Well, you're wearing a shirt right now that I totally recognize, Rainbow Difficult to Cure. Yep. And I love that album.
It's one of my favorite albums by Rainbow.
Where do you get these shirts?
Oh,
internet.
Once Danny, you know this. Once you get like a taste for something, you find it,
or it comes to you in an ad on your Instagram page. Okay, so, I want to read some of the comments. Marie said the black and white Marvel index of covers from the late 70s were amazing. Hank Wagner said those were the days. In many ways, ignorance was bliss. The hobby was more about the hunt and discovery, which is so true.
It still is, by the way, Hank, totally. For a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Before you go on and leave out that comment, Rachel, he's so right. Like it was so exciting to like get a book in the mail that you ordered that you don't even know what the cover looks like. I was buying Brave and the Bold from some comic shop on Hollywood Boulevard, and I'd pay like $2 or $3 for an old 10-cent issue. Didn't know what the grade was going to be. Didn't know what the cover was. I was just collecting that run, and I'd get like number 25 in with the Suicide Squad. I'm like, oh, that's what that cover looks like.
That is interesting. You never think about how you wouldn't see the cover if you like pre-ordered it. I guess it's like that for new
not from too. Those ads, and there wasn't the internet, so like that's why he talked about the black and white Marvel index. I'm actually thinking more of the later one that came out in the 90s. I don't know where my copies are.
They're in the garage.
They're in the garage.
Yeah. Of
the comic index from all the Mile High books and all the Golden Age ones. So there's those things can change people's lives. They start seeing books like
anything that showed covers. Anything that showed covers, but Hank's right. Like there was a certain amount of like ignorance and bliss to the fact of like buying books and discovering old books.
You really had to try hard to know.
Well,
like it wasn't as easy to access.
You can only do something for the first time once. So it's like, if you've been doing this, Hank, for decades, then yeah, you ran out of new ground unless you go to new books. And it's like, I think there's people that have been, in the comic book space for the last 5 years, let's say. They're still going through that. The difference is the stream is not a trickle. It is a literal waterfall. You're drinking water out of a fire hose in terms of being able to find things. So back then it was much harder to find something, very specifically that one thing, where it's easier now, but you also have access to knowing about a lot more. So
yeah, it's like too much information sometimes.
Yeah.
I loved looking through the Overstreet just to see the covers. Mike Dennis, we agree. Vincent said, I love the Grand Comics databases.
Are you going there?
I go, I wouldn't say frequently, but I'm very aware of it. I've even submitted information to them to like add covers that they didn't have and correct information. But like the Grand Comics database is literally like, it has everything that you're looking. Like if you want to look at covers, there's another website called Mike's Amazing. I think he started with DC, Mike's Amazing DC, but I used to go to his website a lot because you could go and pick a title and then hit thumbnails and it would show you the cover to every issue in that title. And I want to say he has the entire DC catalog in there.
Wow.
I used to, there's a site like that today that's really interesting, and that's My Comic Shop. Yeah. My Comic Shop has a database that if you just put in the title, it'll have the cover of every book. Right. And then they have the excerpt from, I assume, the Overstreet Price Guide of the artist, the year. So if I get stuck sometimes, I'll go to My Comic Shop and look up that book, and then I get more information if it's a key or not.
Well, Marvel and
DC, the cover artist is, get to see the cover.
Marvel and DC have their databases now. Like 9 times out of 10, when I'm editing videos and putting books on the screen, it's directly from the database of DC or Marvel.
What is the underground database that we look at?
I always have to look it up.
There's one underground database that is just incredible.
Hang on.
Rachel's going to look for it because undergrounds might be with the hardest outside of what were those books called in the Illustrated? Those are really difficult. Classics Illustrated. Classics Illustrated are very difficult to figure out what printing you're looking at.
Right. You have to be a collector of Classics Illustrated. It's kind of like looking at old cars, like, is that a 66 Mustang or is it a 67? Oh, this one has the tail lights that do this. It's like there's little nuances on the covers of those Classic Illustrated that will tell a very seasoned collector about that.
Rachel and I spent 15 minutes looking at a 15-cent copy, not figuring out, because every picture we saw, everything that we saw, there was nothing that accounted for all of it.
The website is comicsjoint.com.
Comicsjoint.com. If you guys are looking up any underground comics, Covers Joint, there's no one like them. They have, and the 9th edition has a little divot under his nose. I mean, it's just incredible.
Yeah.
Really good.
There's one where like the page is offset. Like the panels are offset on one page, and that determines what print it is. Isn't that crazy? So I thought that was crazy.
Imagine the labor that he put into putting that website together over decades, right?
There's some other stuff we missed. CJ said outside of a guy that he works with, he doesn't know anyone else that has a lot of comic knowledge, which I think is like the average person. The average person that collects comics probably doesn't have someone that knows a lot.
So Rachel and I, every Monday night at 5 p.m. Pacific time, we have a live claim sale. It's her and I live. And we've been doing it now for over 3 years. What we do, there's a lot of people that come to that and they just hang out. I mean, they don't buy anything. They just hang out because they want to hear the conversation about the comic books. They want to watch the chat and they want to hear it. And I get that. I mean, it's like, okay, I may not buy anything, but I'm going to learn. And they usually do because we're bronze and copper and we have Silver Age all the time and we have obscure things. We don't do one thing. It's not just all new books or not just books from the 70s. We're all over the place. So I think that people are looking for exposure, and that's another good way to do it is watch claim sales if they're not boring. That's why we move so fast. Some people are like, you guys are going fast. We're like, we're trying not to put you to sleep.
I'm trying to
I'm kind of a slightly different topic though, but one of the things I'm kind of like I miss is it seems like the majority collectors today are just collecting classic covers and keys. And I don't run into as many collectors who collect like I do, where they collect runs and full sets of things. And I think that's kind of a shame in a ways, because there's so much good material out there that there wasn't a first appearance, there wasn't a classic cover, but it was a great story. And it's like
that kind of falls into a topic we're going to go over in a minute, because and something you and I talked about a long time ago, and I'll bring it back up. We'll do a few more questions.
Well, we have a bunch of messages just in general. Well, there is a question from like earlier. This was from Eggplant from earlier. Have you read the Mark Spears Monsters yet?
Not yet, but I'm going to.
I want to get like an omnibus once it's done.
Yeah.
Because isn't it like 12 issues or something?
I owe the people reading that. So if I talk about it ever again, I'm going to come from a place of knowledge.
I stopped reading new comics, and I'll let Rachel finish with the
I was going to let you finish your question or answer.
Well, I stopped reading new comics because a lot of them, especially the superhero stuff, I don't care for the art. And there's it's like a 5-minute read for the whole comic book. And it's like, I just prefer like Silver and Golden Age comics, where it's almost like reading a novel compared to new books today. Mm-hmm. And now there's new stuff that comes out, like The Walking Dead. I really liked that run. I read the whole run. And I've read some stuff like 8 Billion Genies, which was kind of fun. But like, just in general, I just lost interest in new comics.
Yeah, I want to read Something Is Killing the Children.
I like the old comics. I actually don't like to collect them because I'm a cover guy more than a content guy. But I like the old covers where there's more words in the word balloons on the cover than they have in modern books today. There's like 9 word balloons.
All right, Brian. Hi, Brian.
I just think it's such a ripoff to spend $5 and it takes 5 minutes to read the book.
Yeah,
$1 a minute, brother.
Thoughts on the low price of the McFarlane Batman 423 cover?
You thought it would go for $300 to $500 more.
Well, here's my thought about that. If there's a book you like and you think the price is low, like that's a classic cover. It's going to be, if it's not already, it's considered a classic cover. So like, if you think the price is low, I think it's a book that's going to continue to hold value and go up. So buy more copies. or if you don't even have a copy, make sure you get one. But like things like Hulk 340, that Batman, we could probably start naming a bunch of things that are going to be classic copper and modern covers. It's a great book, but aren't you glad in a way it's not $300 to $500? Because you really want all your comics from the 80s and 90s that are worth owning to cost you, a week's pay or something.
Yeah, but I think that one of the dangerous things about buying comics and then selling them to get other comics, which a lot of people do, one of the dangerous aspects of that, if you ask me, in my opinion, is if you're a day trader, if you're trying to do it and flip immediately, that's very dangerous, because you really have to have your finger on the pulse of the expenses you're going to have, how much you can get for it, and not losing money. You're going to lose money from time to time. And I would say that if you're not really super careful and knowledgeable, you're going to lose money more than make money. And then for people that are buying books for the long haul, like, I'm going to buy this and I don't plan on selling it for years. At some point, I'll probably let it go. I don't think you're as concerned about fluctuations like that. If a book long-term is not worth it, because I think that a lot of people look at this as a hit and run, almost like Bitcoin or something else.
I want to clarify. We're talking about the art, the cover art that sold for $780.
Yeah, I thought they were talking about the
issue. I thought we were talking about the book.
I think that's what Brian was asking.
$780,000, bro, for a modern piece of art is a lot. And I know that Marvel Superheroes Secret Wars 8 got more.
I guarantee you the person who bought that is a well-heeled person who, like, it could even be like the owner of Heritage who's known to buy big pieces where he doesn't really have to pay, the full cost, because they strip away the buyer's premium and the seller's premium and all that.
What does a 9.8 get?
Yeah, it makes it even a better deal.
What does a 9.8 of that book go for?
A couple thousand, a few thousand, even if it's a newsstand. But I guess my question is, what is the most expensive piece of Todd McFarlane art that's sold so far? I'm just curious. I mean, you know what I mean? If anyone knows that, throw it in the chat. What is the most he's ever gotten for an original piece of art? Which, by the way, he doesn't make original art anymore. I mean,
Spider-Man 300 cover sell?
Did it sell? I don't know.
I wanted to say ABC is here from Scotland, so hello.
Hey, good morning. I cannot speak in an accent like that, but I would, if I could, I would try.
A lot of people are saying a bunch of different stuff.
What's that?
You can't speak in a Scottish accent, Dave?
No.
I wouldn't even want you to do that.
She does not want me to.
Also, this was him saying hi to Bill, but Action's here. Bill's here.
What's
a lot
up,
of
Action?
lot
What's
of
up,
familiar
Bill?
faces are
he said
here.
52nd year in collecting.
Yeah, for collecting.
He's ahead of you, Danny.
It's a long time.
Yeah, so I started in 73. I'm at 52 years also.
He's still ahead of you.
Right there. Yeah.
Eggplant really likes the Mark Spears covers. We actually made a video about those books. I
got a little bit of hate, and it's okay. It was good hate.
Well, I mean,
I call it love.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. My mom's here. Hi, Mom.
Click it.
Oh, hi, Mom. Let me see. What? Which this one?
The McFarlane art. Okay. Do that.
My comment would be it's out of most people's price budget, so needs a few crazy rich people wanting it to be able to get it. That's fair.
No, I can't get into original art because the price point is so high for good pieces. It's just the comics I could own for the same amount of money. Well,
it's like people that buy oil paintings. It's like the same level.
I think it's a different hobby. I think it's a completely different hobby.
I agree. I wanted to buy, there was a piece of art that came up in a heritage sale about a year or 2 years ago, and it was a house ad from an EC comic where the 3 ghoul lunatics were sitting there reading weird science and weird fantasy, and it said, "We here at EC are most proud of our science fiction comics." It's a very common, famous ad that EC had running in all of their titles. And the original art by Al Feldstein came up for sale. And I was really going after it, Dave. And I was the underbidder. It eventually sold for about $40,000. And I had a feeling that no matter how much I bid, the other person was going to bid more. Like this person whoever it is that won it, they were not going to lose it.
Battle Royale. Put that one on.
Oh, I was going to read this. I already put this one up. Bill said he made $3.25 an hour in 1989. So it was 3 hours of washing dishes at Bonanza for $8 original art piece for McFarlane. That's crazy. Wow. And then Dad wanted me to put this.
I was thinking just yesterday how much I used to make. I remember when I made $3.15 an hour.
I started at $6.25. That was what I started at when I was working back in the day. Hopefully getting my first McFarlane autograph next Saturday. That's exciting, Michael.
Yeah, I know he's in New York right now, I think, or he was just signing things. I've seen it on video.
Hello.
Hello.
The Batman Todd art is the highest price for an original Todd art, but 12 years ago, an ASM cover sold for $600,000.
Oh, I remember that. I think that's like Spider-Man number 328 or something like that. I remember that.
Oh yeah, someone had mentioned that. Yeah, ASM 328. Benjamin knew.
What's on that cover?
It's I think Spidey is lifting the Hulk or something like that, or hitting him, but it's a Todd McFarlane with a.
We just sold it.
I literally have a copy of that in a box over there.
Yeah, we just sold, we sold it.
Yeah, I think Michael bought it.
Yeah, we sold it. That is a good cover, by the way. I really like that era, that early McFarlane when he was still doing Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about. Action that people were surprised at how low it sold for, but I don't know, it's pretty high.
Yeah, I don't know how many people can afford $700,000.
I think people are comparing it to the John Byrne. I really do, but John Byrne's kind of an era before him. So they're pretty far apart. Even though John Byrne was still working in the 90s, late 80s, he had already done his best stuff. It was behind him, if you ask me.
Anything in our hobby that's hundreds of thousands of dollars is just like out of the reach of 99% of us.
It's on the way to you, Michael.
It's high grade ASM. That's funny. That
punched into orbit. He was.
Has yellow piece missing from the moon because he rushed the comic for press.
Oh wow!
I bet that probably bugs him to this day.
So we're going to talk a little bit about. Let me see. I wrote it down over there. Yeah, so Danny and I had a conversation quite a long time ago that kind of stuck with me. And this is what I'm talking about having a community. And it was about me buying collections, and there were people that were, hey, still only. What's up, David?
Just for you, Uncle Danny.
We were, I was still, buying collections, and people were concerned because they might have paid more for a particular book, and they weren't going to sell it for less than what they paid. And what they paid made it impossible for me to buy because it was more than it was currently worth. And I'm buying things to resell them. So that doesn't typically come up a lot. But when it does, it's kind of interesting to me because it really is, it's a way to think. Like, I'm never going to sell this for less than I paid. So Danny and I are having this conversation, and I'm going to let you describe it. But Danny said, well, there's a piece of this hobby that is entertainment, purely entertainment. And you're a run collector. So yes, you're right. There are parts of your collection that are entertainment. They'll never sell for much. They may not have a lot of interest by other people.
I was just telling somebody today, I was talking to Ken, and I said, if I was ever to try to sell my Sugar and Spike collection, who would want it? Because
every time I see one, I'm like, Uncle Danny's only one.
They're mostly very high grade, and they cost me a little bit, and like
a lot.
Is there another person out there who would spend, where I could I make my money back selling that collection? And
to that one other guy that that also,
well, you just have to talk to somebody like Netflix and say, you guys have to do
I found him.
Sugar and Spike.
I found him, Uncle Danny. There you go, Vincent. And also
this is for you, Vincent. Sugar and Spike 31 Halloween cover in 9.2.
What year did that come out?
It's 1960. It's a 10 center.
I like that cover personally.
Does Danny get recognized in public now because of this show?
Tell everyone how famous you are.
Yeah, I've had a couple people come up to me at either Comic-Con or Charlotte and say, are you Dave's brother? So it's not that they know Danny, they just know I'm your brother.
You always do introduce him as my brother.
This is my brother.
I have some niche comics, and many wouldn't pay much or anything for those comics.
So back to David's topic about, like, I'm sure that if we had a bunch of people on here, like all the people who are watching right now, if everybody was going to start typing in the book they bought during the comic boom that's only worth half as much as what they paid, I bet every one of us have one of those stories right now. I have one. I'm not too embarrassed to say I really felt during the comic boom that a book that was undervalued and hadn't gone up as much as other keys was an Avengers #1. So I went out and bought one. I bought a 6.5 white pages, and I spent more money on it than probably about twice what it's worth right now. And so the question is will it ever become worth what I paid for it? And at some point, if I get tired of waiting for that to happen, I bought it. I thought it could be a good investment. It's Avengers #1, but I don't mind owning it, but I'm not collecting Avengers. It's only worth, I'd lose thousands if I sold it today. But at some point, the value I could take out of that comic and put towards something else gives that money a chance to grow again, whereas sitting stagnant, not doing anything.
So that was from an investor's perspective, yeah?
Yeah, well, I bought stuff as a collector too, because I was at the same time in the comic boom, I decided I really wanted to go back and fill in. I had X-Men. I was an X-Men collector during the Burn days, but I had sold them all many, many years ago. But my collection started right after the Burn run. So I decided during the comic boom to, go back to number 94 and fill in that run. And so I bought a bunch of X-Men's, mostly graded, and I'm sure almost to a T, everyone is probably, I paid more for it than it's worth now. But I like owning that. I have X-Men 94 through 300, all in near mint or better. And I enjoy owning those. So I don't worry about it. I don't think about it. It doesn't bother me. But like the Avengers, it's like I did buy that thinking that could be an investment, and it didn't really pan out. But I have many books that are worth a lot more than I paid for them. So I've told you this, Dave. I've always thought of comics a little bit like the stock market, right? Like it's about the net. So if I send 10 books to Comic Link and they sell them, and 5 of them get me much more than I paid, but 5 of them got me less, I look at it as a basket. Like, did I make money on the whole lot, or did I lose money? And generally I make money. And so I don't worry about, oh, that one issue sold for less than what I paid for it.
Well, so back to the Sugar and Spike, you fully understand today that there's not a large enough market for those to be good investments.
No, they're not good investments, but like there are.
Well, hold on. So they're not good investments. When's the last time you bought one?
Last time I bought one? I've been upgrading them. So
yep. When's the last time? This year?
I bought one this year, but I only need 3 more issues to finish the whole series.
That's kind of the point I'm making. You know, you're going to lose money on these, probably, right?
No, I'm not going to lose money because I will die with them. I will die with them, and my heirs will sell them, and they won't care how much I originally paid for them, because whatever money they get for them, they'll be happy to get.
Yeah. So Danny is making an excellent point. I would like to reiterate. The way you never lose money on buying comics is you never sell them. Correct? Is that right? You cannot lose money if you don't sell it.
Yeah, and that's the same with anything.
I'm being funny, but now I'm going to be serious. So I think long-term collectors that also would like that to be an investment. At some point, their family, their heirs, whoever's going to sell them is going to sell them and get a nice amount of money. They don't like the thought of like spending a lot that someone's going to pay nothing for. However, I think sometimes it doesn't matter if you're collecting a run. If you have the kind of philosophy you do, if you're collecting a run, you're often buying books. For instance, do you have a series right now? Do you have Alpha Flight, the entire run of Alpha Flight?
No, but I have 1 through 50.
Okay. So there's things like that, that those are not necessarily investment books.
I'm filling in a Marvel Team Up collection. I'm trying to complete a run of that.
Yep.
All right, we got lots of things.
As I complete things, I always find something else to work on. So I have multiple sets I'm working on over time. Like I'm trying to fill in my World's Finest run.
What's your Superman run goals? What number to what number?
100 to 300.
Okay.
I really wanted the Silver Age and the early Bronze Age. I didn't care. I didn't want to go back.
Did 100 come out before or after 55?
In 55.
Oh, gotcha. So it has a code on it?
Yeah.
There's still double bullets. Okay.
One of the earliest code issues.
Okay, I just thought
starting at 100 was just a really nice, clean point.
You didn't want to make it too sloppy, like 103 to, yeah.
Still only says, I know Danny through buying his high-grade undercopies.
Oh, yeah.
Dave and Rachel, I appreciate the business aspects of selling more and more.
Thank you, Hank.
Let's see, there was questions. I have a question for Danny. Does your wife know how much you spend on these books?
Oh, yeah. She doesn't care. I mean, and I'm not trying to say that to be flippant. She knows I'm like a financially responsible person. She doesn't ask me. And when sometimes I'll walk in and say, guess how much I paid for this? Or what I like to do is I'll show her 2 books. Say, guess which one of these is more valuable? And she'll always like look for like, if it's a CGC book, she'll always think like it's the one with the higher grade. But we all know that doesn't really necessarily play into the value of a book. But she honestly doesn't care. But to that question though, financial infidelity can happen very easily in this hobby when your spouse doesn't support your hobby and you start hiding your purchases and stuff. And it's not a comfortable place to be. It's like, if that's what's going on in your household, it's like there's a pit in your stomach that like every time you buy something expensive, you're like having the book mailed to work so you can like bring it home. Nobody sees a package come in. It's like, who wants to live like that?
Yeah, your partner thinks you're cheating and they just don't understand you're just buying comics. That's why you're lying to them every day. You're not cheating, you're just buying comics.
Need to read your book.
I have not cheated.
What Tony says right there,
yeah.
I've heard that so many times.
I can see your comment, Fly May. I only see this comment though.
Well, so when you tell your wife how much they're worth, do you ever tell her how much you could sell them for? See, hey, my comic books are worth $100,000. But if you sold them today,
as you get older and you start thinking about like what's going to be the disposition of your collection as you get older, and you start thinking about that stuff, I do think it's important to like let your spouse know what to do with your collection if something happens to you, like you know, have her know like maybe which ones are valuable and who she might want to sell, or if you've got a really good friend, is like, call my friend, he'll help you with, getting these to Heritage or Comic Link or whatever. I do think you have to do some stuff like that. But I know some people too, Dave, that like their comic collection is their retirement plan. And that would make me a little nervous, because the market could really, something happens globally, comic books could become much less important in the world, and prices will go down. We saw that during the Great Recession. I bought some really great books during the Great Recession.
Yeah, so
are soft.
Not like the pandemic.
That was different.
The pandemic had an opposite effect.
Right, but during the recession, I'll tell you what, I bought a Brave and the Bold #1. You ever see a book that like you can see in the slide, like this book looks way better than the grade? I saw a Brave and the Bold #1 on eBay. I ended up buying it for $800. I got it in, and it had a hard dust shadow on the back cover, but the book looked like an 8.0. And I was like, wow, this book looks so much better than this. And I cracked it out, and for a while I just kept it in the Mylar. Well, I sent it back to CGC, and it came back as a 7.0. And it didn't even press it, clean it, nothing.
That's
it was just a straight resub. It's like a $3,000 book now. But like, it was a book I'd always wanted, and the price just was really soft during this is like 2010 maybe. Price was just
could you imagine? What would happen if you sold one book out of your Brave and the Bold set, which is complete?
I couldn't do that.
Yeah,
I couldn't. Can you imagine?
You had to. A book. There's no reason for you to have to, but we're making this up.
Like the 28. The first Justice League, just go ahead and sell that one because it's the most valuable of the run.
If you broke up one, you could probably sell the whole run, correct?
What's funny about when you collect runs, there's such a satisfying thing when you home in on that last issue and then you buy that last issue, but then there's like this letdown, like, and what you tend to do is you tend to find another run to start working on.
Yeah,
and I thought at the time when I finished a Superboy run, I thought, this is my personal greatest collecting achievement. I have a full run of Superboy 1 through 258. And then I went and got the Brave and the Bold run, and I was like, this was harder and more expensive than the Superboy run.
Do you have every appearance of the Legion?
I do. I mean, up to like 1990s sometime, and then after that,
yeah. So you have all going through Superboy.
Oh yeah, Action, Adventure, Superboy.
Yeah,
every appearance the Legion had from Adventure 247 all the way into the 1990s. Even like cameos in other books. I was a big Legion. I
think the Legion is unappreciated today. Do you think there'll ever be some good?
I don't think they're as unappreciated as you might think, because as you know, high grade copies of the Adventure run have been steadily going up in price, and like books that I was able to buy for like 9.4s for like $200 are now like $600. And remember, you sold the I think it was the Death of Lightning Lad. You sold like a 9.2 of that for really good money. It's like they're not cheap in high grade. I've even paid like a lot for some of the adventures. Like I want to say there was a 316 or something in 9.6, and I paid quite a bit for it.
Bro, they're not hot. I can tell you right now, you could put 20 online right now and not sell one until the right person has to come along.
It all okay. This is what we need to talk about. It's about venue. So it's like in the right place,
right?
The right people will see it, right? Like
that's right.
People don't want to sell through Heritage because Heritage is going to take like a net 16% or whatever of the total cost, but the reality is Heritage gets good prices for books. And so like, you're right. if I gave you my adventures to sell on your claim sales, maybe you don't have, the customers who are looking for those books, but Comic Link and Heritage have thousands of people
in those grades. I can sell them all day long in low to mid grade. And once you get to high grade, there becomes some resistance. Yeah. For me.
No, you're right. Like even my Sugar and Spikes, which we're making fun of those, like if I wanted to sell those, I'd have to give them to Heritage, and Heritage would get me decent prices for the high. I have so many that are census highest, and there's a lot of people out there who buy census highest books and pay good for them.
Rachel's backing up on the questions.
We got so many questions. First question. Will you do an updated video with Dr. Love on romance collecting?
You should. That guy knows so much, and he's entertaining.
And we didn't even scratch the surface.
Barely.
We did not even talk about that many books
before. His name is Andy, and he's another friend, and he knows. I think he knows everything that there is to know about romance comics.
He's the guy. They don't call him Dr. Love for nothing.
I have a question for Rachel's Uncle Danny. Are those horizontally stacked books behind you getting spirals?
They're not comics, okay? Because I wouldn't do that.
Never stack them like that if they were comics.
Magazine. Some of these are old. Some of these are old magazines, like there's a set of those DC Direct Currents in there, and there's like there's all kinds of like just comic magazines and stuff. But no, I wouldn't like stack comics that way. In fact, all of my
Danny.
Thank you so much, Rachel's Uncle Danny.
My whole collection is in bookcases, like a library, and so they're all stacked up. That
stacked to the ceiling perfectly, all in Mylars. It's a beautiful thing. It's a thing of wonder.
Silly, I think you know the answer for me and my dad about this, but question: slab or raw? I'm moving away from grading nowadays and keeping raw unless super high grade.
Grade is not dependent on slab or raw for me. It's price and value. Like I get nervous about spending many hundreds or even thousands of dollars on a comic book that's raw, because I want to make sure that it doesn't have anything that's undisclosed or that I missed. I don't carry a black light with me when I go look at comics to see if there was a dot of color touch. So it's less about the grade. I have no problem buying like super high grade bronze and copper books raw from a dealer that I'm paying like $100 for or something. But like you get to $800 or $900 or more than that, and it's like I would rather buy a slab.
Yeah, and caveat to that, you're talking about Silver Age books. You're not talking about modern
or golden. Or golden
right.
age.
You're talking about books that are 50, 60, 70 years old, where there was a lot of issues with people marking up books and doing stuff in the early on. So you have to watch for that, or trimming pages, where if somebody's buying something from 2003, pretty much what you see is what you get. Would you spend $1,000 on something raw? Here's the point: you don't really collect 9/8. I mean, that's not as interesting to you.
No, in fact, I get bummed out when a book I'm really looking for only shows up as a 9/8, because
right,
I don't like to pay that multiple premium.
So expensive.
Premium 9.2 to 9.4 are really a sweet spot for price and for visual appearance of the book.
So 9.2, you start seeing some wear in grading. You start seeing a dirtier book sometimes, or you can have a very, very small corner crease. Maybe a longer bindery split, not split, but a pull. So 9.2s under the near mint minus, you can visibly see it by the naked eye. I think when you start at near mint, you should be struggling to see defects. Mm-hmm. Near mint plus 9.6, it should look like a 9.8, except for things that you're looking at under a light, getting the light to kind of land on your book. So to your point, 9.8 is such a small increment to jump up from 9.6.
You've heard me say this, it's a cliche really, but it's not a 9.8 unless CGC says it's a 9.8, because for most part 9.6s and 9.8s are indistinguishable from each other.
Yeah.
Well, and I popped this up earlier Kenny said, when buying online, slab is safer in person. I prefer
Absolutely.
raw. It really just depends on if you trust the person you're buying from.
I don't think that's a bad theory.
No, but to his point too, it's like if it's a $50 book, do you want to pay $100 for it because somebody got it slabbed, or would you rather pay $50 for it raw?
So somebody said the North Korean comic market's popping. I'd love.
I think they're just talking.
I know they're talking out of the side of their neck. Show me one. I want to see a North Korean comic.
What is your thoughts on UK price variants as far as collectability rarity? They are not as easy to sell as a Canadian price variant.
I'll let Danny talk to it. I mean, traditionally they've gone a little bit slower, Pence copies than its counterpart.
Foreign comics in general are worth a lot less, but I think collecting foreign variants is now becoming more popular in general than it used to be.
Key issues, yeah,
especially like obscure foreign variants, which Pence copies I don't think would be considered obscure, but like if you got like a Greek comic from Asia or South America, and it's got like a famous cover. I've seen a lot of like Silver Age stuff recently where it's like, wow, because a lot of the foreign comics, the UK price variants are pretty much the American cover with just a different price on it, right? But like a lot of the foreign comics from South America and such, Mexico,
different colors, different art.
Yeah, they colored the book differently. Same with Australia, they used a different cover for that issue, and there's a lot of people collecting that stuff nowadays.
Old man Leo says, if this question's been asked, I apologize, but what's the difference between collector versus investment grade?
Yeah. Hey, Little Ice Creek.
Oh, Little Ice Creek. Okay, sorry.
So, yeah, and that's a good question because I think that you can ask 10 people and they might say the same thing 10 different ways. But this is my pitch on it. And I'll let Danny and Rachel chime in. Investment grade is the grade that is going to sell for the highest amount the most often. So investment grade might be if you use something like Adventure Comics 300, which is a key issue, and it's kind of hard to find. It's a little bit expensive, not hot, but in demand. I mean, people will pay for that. What would you consider investment grade on that book? We're talking a Silver Age book now, and we're talking about a book that's not incredibly high census. From your perspective, what would investment grade be? And then what would be too low grade for investment?
I think personally, the term investment grade is a little bit misleading because sometimes it's not about the grade of the book, but it's about the book itself. So like, for instance, if you have a copy of Suspense #3 with a very famous, I think it's Schomburg cover, or Mask #1, and I can start.
They're all investment grade.
Grade, forget the grade. Just having an issue, that book does nothing but go up in value.
And well, that's why I said Adventure 300, which is a different type of book.
But yeah, so like when we get into like the Silver Age stuff, like investment grade really is census highest. So like
or pedigree.
Yeah, but like the Adventure 300 bringing up, it's the first issue of the Legion and Adventure to start their series. It has a kind of a classic cover, at least a very recognizable one. It's a panel cover. I don't think somebody's going to buy that book who's not collecting Legion of Superheroes or Adventure Comics, regardless of the grade. I mean, if it is, it's going to be somebody because it came out as a 9.6 or 9.8, and you got these niche collectors out here who only want to own like census highest books. But like, I really think this idea of, I think that the comic resellers are the ones who came up with the investment grade, because not every book is an investment, regardless of its grade.
Well, that's why it doesn't apply. But it's interesting. Another point you made, but didn't really elaborate on, is the fact that how a book presents, regardless of the grade, makes a difference. And if it's the book that either A, you want to own, or B, you want to sell. So you might have two books that are 9.2s, and they're both, let's call them Bronze Age keys. Iron Man #1, two 9.2s. One of them is perfectly aligned and it has a really nice glossy cover. The other one has a noticeable defect on the cover that might take away from that purple art, Now you flip it. You have a 9.0 and a 9.6, and the 9.0 actually presents better than the 9.6 because it's aligned. Staples are where they're supposed to be. There's no color breaks on the cover. The defects are on the back. Which one do you think you would want? And that has to do with how you collect.
Yeah, Ken and I would always tell you that we prefer the book that presents better. You know, I would rather have a 9.0 with a good wrap and white pages than a 9.6 with cream to off-white pages and a slight miswrap every day.
So sometimes it's not the investment grade, it's the investment book, like you were saying.
Like I said, I think investment grade is kind of I don't think that really exists. Here's a good example. All the ECs had Gaines file copies, or majority of them had Gaines file copies. And pretty much if you took all the Gaines file copies out of the market, there are very few high-grade ECs out there above 9.0.
Oh, yeah.
But you add all of the Gaines into the mix, and for a long time, there was this feeling that high-grade ECs are not rare because the Gaines were trading hands a lot, and people saw them at conventions and saw them in auctions. And for many years, they were kind of stagnant in price. You know, they didn't jump up. Remember when they were sold brand new, they ranged in price from $200 to $400 a book on average, and some were a couple more and a couple less, but on average, that's what the price was. And for years, it was about 10 years later that CGC came out and people started grading these ECs, and then they started selling them, and they were getting like 1,000. But now, all of a sudden, there's enough collectors out there who totally appreciate the quality of those Gaines books. And Gaines books sell very well now, even if they're in 9.0 or 9.2, or, you know, people aren't worried about it only being a 9.8. It's like, it's a Gaines file copy, which means it's got a very great, you know, presentation. It's got a freshness to it. It's got great colors.
Uncirculated. Yeah.
Like, it's not about, like, I would rather have a Gaines file copy in 9.2 than to have a higher grade one with, say, cream to off-white pages. I'd rather much have the Gaines books.
Okay, we're going to move on to some questions. We're going to wrap this up in just a few minutes, guys. So
there's a lot of questions on the
Before we leave, I brought a couple comic books I want to show, because how can you have like a conversation about comics and not show a couple?
Well, we're going to go through some of these questions and then we'll do that.
All right.
This is good. I feel like the hardest question you can ask. If you could keep one comic book, which book would you pick?
You talking to me?
I don't know.
You answer it.
Anybody. I mean, for me, it's my Marvel superheroes, Dr. Doom. That's my one treasure.
Weird Science Fantasy number 29 with Rosetta cover.
Dad?
Can't answer it.
Yeah.
I don't own a book like that currently. If I ever do, I'll let you know.
Do you press your books, Uncle Danny?
No, you know, I don't have the skill to do that. David's pressed and cleaned a few books for me. I just haven't taken. I'm still working full time, and you know, I have a job, and like I just haven't taken the time. And I know that it takes a while to build the expertise to do that. I just haven't taken the time to do it yet.
How did you start getting back into selling? I feel like you've talked about this a lot on our channel.
Well, I got back into collecting first. So I started putting together a collection of bronze and silver age books.
Dave, tell them the truth. I kept talking to you about comic books all the time, and finally the bug bit you.
Yeah. I mean, we had spent a lot of time together at one point, and then I really started getting interested again, started to collect. The pandemic hit not long after that. Once the pandemic hit, I kept going. But I started to make a decision that I liked comics more than I liked the career I'd been in for 35 years. That I kind of, the useful life that I had in what I was doing was starting to diminish, where I was passionate about comics. And I decided that I just didn't want to do that. I was an executive for a long time. Never guessed by looking at me. But I was an executive for a long time, and I really didn't want to have the responsibility and continue with the stressful political pattern that my work life. And I had a lot more stress back then. So I decided I wanted to do comic books, and I wanted to do it with my family. I really wanted to do something that in the last decades of my life, I got to spend as much time with my family as I could. when I started thinking that way originally, my youngest daughter only had one kid. She has 3 now.
That's not me.
I do get to spend a lot of time with them when they're not traveling. They're traveling right now, but I'm really very focused on my family, and spending a lot of time with them, getting to spend a lot of time with my cat and my wife. So yeah, that's why I decided to sell books, because I played with selling books early in life and done some of that. And I've always kind of thought of books like that. That's kind of the way I enjoyed the hobby. So that's why I can't really answer which book I wouldn't get rid of, because I like them all and I sell them all. So it's like, I get so many books now. I'm in this great position that I've been able to own so many books I've never owned before. And I still get excited when I own something for the first time. I'm not oblivious to it. I'm like, I've never owned this book before. Isn't this cool? Sometimes I'll hold them. Like I have a first appearance of Peanuts back there in Dell. Not the first appearance of them at all. This is the first original material. I'm going to sell it one day. Not yet. I like looking at it too much. I've never owned it before, and it's really nostalgic to me. So I was able to bring Rachel along the whole way. So as soon as I made the decision, she started working part-time for me. It's been 4 years. 4 years we've been doing this. So she's worked for me the whole time and worked with me. It's just been a wonderful experience. So this is what I wanted to do, man.
I remember how the bug bit you again, though. I was telling you, I was helping a friend sell a bunch of books. And I told you that there was an EC. I bought a Crime Suspense Stories 22 from my friend. And I said, he's got a stack of ECs that I'm going to sell. And you said, how much? And I went and got a price, and you bought this stack of ECs. And I think that was
good ones.
Yeah. And that was the first purchase, I think, that brought you back in. And after that, the bug bit you, and away you went.
Yeah, I did really well on those. Thank you again, my brother.
Oh, this is a good final question. Just because
no one's ever
more. A few more? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there is. Let me go back up
here.
Yeah,
go back up, because these are the people. We got to talk to the people.
I have a Tomb of Dracula 1, and the grade looks off to me. It looks like an 8.590, and CGC called it a 7.5. Is it worth cracking?
Do you read the grader notes?
Yeah, that's important right there. Is understand why CGC graded it the way.
Yeah, you got to read the grader notes, and you got to show it to other people. Pictures are tough. If you're in a position like you go to an all day, one day show, or bring it with you, put it in your backpack, and show it to people. Because sometimes if you're not,
if the book's a keeper for you and you love that book, crack it out and stick it in a Mylar and just enjoy it, because it looks better in a Mylar than it does in a 7.5 CGC slab.
A 7.5 can look good though.
7.5's can look really good.
If it's got like a tear on the back or something, like you might as well leave it in the slab.
Chances are they're right. I'm just telling you right now.
Yeah, 7.5's pretty solid. I haven't seen them grade.
There are things that stop a book from being an 8.0, and it probably has one of those things. Yeah.
Do you guys own a lot of pulps? No.
Nope.
Not even graded.
None of us.
None. Let's see. Do you need? Oh no, I didn't read that one all the way.
Yes, you do. You need to be able to
focus.
No, if you like
patience.
Look, if you like doing physical work, like anything, woodworking, working on things with your hands, and coming up with a skill, cleaning and pressing is for you. But you have to be able to focus for long periods of time. I'll give you an example. We'll move on. If I'm erasing something, right? Got the eraser. You can't do this. That's not how you erase. You have to go slower than you think. You have to remember to breathe. It's like, it really is an exercise. It's like, I'll literally get the whole eraser, and it's kind of like I'm lading wood.
Watch the pressing video, because that's sped up like 10 times.
And then I realize I'm still going too fast. So it's like there's things that you have to do, and it takes real skill. And a lot of times it goes against your inclination. So that's why you have to kind of train yourself out of what you would normally do. Anyway.
I've seen David clean and press books. When I visit him, I'll usually bring a book or two for him to do. And I think of it more like it's more like an art. You really are learning to do something that's like an art, and like all the tools that he uses and the methods he used, to me, just reminded me of like somebody who's doing something artistic.
like sculpture.
It's like any form of restoration. Like there's people that restore old posters, that restore paintings. Like it's the same kind of level.
I admire all that work. I watch people
restoring
posters. They get them completely wet and they put plastic on them, and then they do all this combining of pieces, and they get done. I'm like, that is sick.
Yeah.
Anyway, carry on.
Is there a cover that's so disturbing that you wouldn't buy it? No.
I would say some Nazi covers.
There is. No, there is. There's that book, I think it's something suspense, where there's a bunch of tongues all over the cover.
I love the tongues.
I just think it is gross. I don't like
eyeballs. There's some eyeball covers I think are gross.
None of the injury to the eye covers don't bother me, but the one where it's like some old hermit dude and he's collecting a bunch of tongues in a bought jar.
Frank Miller's recent art scares me a lot.
Oh yeah, I know exactly what.
Just saying,
horrifying. Have you ever advocated to push for the Monterey collection to be legitimized?
It can't be.
You can't because you can't prove the provenance any longer, and the collection's been split up and dispersed. His name was Stephen Johnson. Had Stephen lived to today and he had not sold the collection, he would easily get pedigree status.
There's still some of the nicest Bronze Age books I've ever seen.
It's just as good as some of these other Bronze Age, as the Oakland collection and some other of the Bronze Age collections that we've seen. But he split it up. Like we were buying books from Steve in the very late 90s at Comic-Con, and he was bundling everything into sets. He didn't like to sell individual issues. It's like if you wanted to own OMAC 1 through 6, you had to buy all 6.
Or the entire set.
Because you bought all the Iron Man.
Like the OMAC.
Right.
Not OMAC, like Commandy 1 through 50. Shit like that.
I bought the Commandies from him. I have the Monterey Commandy set.
Which is nice. So you got that going for you.
Before we leave, I've got 2 books I'm going to show you that are Monterey books, and I'll show them tonight before we go.
I just want you to know, Uncle Danny, he's actually eating the tongues in that cover.
Yeah, those are just, that book is disgusting to me. I don't like it.
I just wanted you to know that. Also, thanks, Jack. That was really nice.
Oh, thank you.
Here's a Monterey book for you guys.
Here, let me make you big screen. So, hang on.
He's pulling out the horror.
Hang on.
Yeah.
There we go.
Super DC Giant. I think this is S23. I bought the whole run of Super DC Giant from Steve. And this
is that a Cardi? Is that a Cardi cover?
It is, I believe. No, maybe it's not. It may not be, Dave. I'm not sure, but
I can't really.
I love all these giant-sized DC runs, and so
I do too.
So here, I'll show you one. Here's another Monterey book. This one you'll like even better. This is Super DC Giant S20.
I like that book.
I picked out a couple of horror books for your, October. Here we're in the middle of October, so
really pretty copy. You can tell.
And that's a Wrightson cover.
Tell the people how you bag and board. Show what your system is.
I really like the 2mm Mylars with the flap. I don't care for the 4mm ones with the open top anymore. Not often, but I have cut a book, kind of put it back into the Mylar, and
I have too.
I just decided that having a closed flap, would keep any moisture if I ever I
hate top loaders. I hate them.
And you got Scotch tape on the back, and is that a full back board?
Yes, full backs. Yeah.
Yep.
You could throw that across the room and it wouldn't dent.
Well, you'd need a couple more boards in it. He doesn't do the multiple.
Oh, he only does one board?
Yeah.
Okay. I know David loves it. David thinks as soon as I show a sugar and spike, people are just going to log out.
All right, so 67 people are here. Let's see.
Yeah, there's 4 people left. That's a really pretty copy of that
Halloween cover. This is from the Savannah collection, and it's an deslabbed 8.5. Really nice book.
I really like that yellow 10 cent. Still 10 cent.
Kenny said that it's awesome. So I hope he was talking about the sugar and spike. If not, I'm sorry.
So this is also from the Monterey collection. I bought the entire run. of DC limited editions from him. So I have
that's huge.
I have the full treasury set, and they're all like.
It might be the nicest copy I've ever seen.
Yeah, this is a Nick Cardy cover.
Yeah.
Where do you buy the treasury bags? Like, where do you go to buy those?
Bill Cole.
Because we probably need to buy some.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That cover though.
Here's another Wrightson Halloween cover.
What grade do you think that is? That's another doorway. It's a third doorway with different people.
Frank said, I bet Danny has a great Darkhawk one.
He didn't even know what that was.
Dave, this is a Near Mint Plus.
really funny.
Yes, you just don't see those. It's impossible.
Hey, if I take this out of here, I wear gloves.
Thanks, Hank.
Hazmat
Carl said
suit.
spooky, and Michael said, "Wow,
Spooky wookie."
How do you store those?
I have them just standing straight up in a bookshelf.
Because they're huge. It's hard to put
one
them
more
anywhere.
comic book, one more Sugar and Spike.
Oh.
This is the first Halloween cover for Sugar and Spike. And
what number is that?
25.
Could you imagine putting one of those treasuries?
1959.
That's the only kind of pumpkin I could ever carve. People make the fancy pumpkins. I'm lucky to get a pumpkin.
That's
that
me.
nice.
I love to do fancy pumpkin.
You know what? So to point Greg M's comment, CGC will never grade those. CBCS does grade them. CBCS does grade them, but they don't put them in a slab. What they do is they put a sticker on the back that says what the grade is. And the only way you can open the flap is to tear the sticker. So because I have a Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer that was graded by CBCS, and it's the very first Treasury issue. They call it C20. It's the very first DC Treasury issue, but I have one that was graded an 8.5 by them.
Did you have Johnny Craig covers to show? I don't remember you saying that.
I don't have any Johnny Craig original ECs because my whole EC collection is science fiction. Oh yeah. No, I take it back. I have Crime Suspense Stories 22. There's a Johnny Craig book for you.
What else you got on the table there? Any other ones?
No, just one more Sugar and Spike, and I know you don't see those.
What?
A magazine box? Is that why I didn't have to hold the treasury?
Not one of those bags.
Yeah, they have a
magazine box.
Sideways in the box, yes.
Oh, that's all. Yeah, that's what we.
Yeah, that's what we do.
Or it just lays flat somewhere.
All right, man. We're gonna call it, Danny. Any other last words for the people, for the good people?
There was some other topics I think we were going to talk about, so we'll have to get back together because I really want to talk about like pricing and stuff like that. You and I have had some conversations about pricing, and so we'll have to have another conversation and more about. I'd love to talk more about like I said, collecting things that are not keys and not like first appearances. I really like to talk about that a little bit because I feel like for our hobby to flourish into the future, it can't just be all the first appearances and keys. Otherwise, our hobby is if people don't read books and people don't get invested somehow into the books, I'm afraid for what our hobbies, I think there'll always be Action 1s, Detective 27s will always be valuable and popular and whatever. But like, if our hobby is going to flourish, it's got to be because people actually like comic books, like reading them, like collecting them. And I think there needs to be more than just key issues.
Wait, I was going to show this. We're going to party after this.
And what are you talking about? This is a party, my brother. We are party animals.
We're all drunk right now.
We dare to go against convention. We're going to have intellectual folly.
My wife asked me, she goes, who's going to watch? Yeah, you know what? Me and my friend Ken do have an Instagram channel. It's called A_century_of_comics. So a century of comics with underscores. And what Ken and I do is
that's a mouthful, my brother. That's a lot of words.
Here, wait a second.
But also, pitch your Facebook page. People might want to take a peek at.
A century of comics. We even have a logo. We're like official.
I have a sticker and everything.
I have a Facebook group I'm a moderator of. It's called DC Non-Superhero Comics, and it's really just a place where people can post and talk about DC comics that are not Superman and Batman. So like all of the war books.
What's it called?
It's called DC Non-Superhero Comics.
Yep, you guys want to check that out.
That's on Facebook.
Silver Surfer 4 for his birthday in 9/8.
9/8.
So I didn't see the name of the person who posted that, but like about 6 years ago, I was at a show, and every now and then I look at a book from an investment perspective, and somebody had a Surfer 4 in 9.6 graded, and it was $5,000. And I just thought, God dang, this is a gorgeous book, and wouldn't that be awesome to own? And I remember, like, during the comic boom, when that book probably went up 3 times what that price was, I thought I should have bought that book because it was just stunning, and I could have made some real money on that sucker.
Make real money, get real paid.
Investment.
All right, everyone. Thanks a lot. We're going to put this out so you guys will be able to watch it later if you missed a piece. You got any final words there, Rachel?
No, just make sure you follow us if you don't already.
Holla back.